Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Imperial Inspection, where we're looking at reviewing Star Wars Destiny cards. Right now we're working through the Spirit of Rebellion set. The last three videos we looked at all the villain, rare, and legendary cards, and now we're going to get kicked off with the heroes, starting with red command heroes. So for each character we'll look at a couple different team build compositions using SoR and Awakenings, and then we'll look through the upgrades and supports as well. We'll get started with Baze. Baze is the legendary red hero for this set. He comes in at 11 points of health, and he has a cost of 14 for a regular character and 18 for an elite. He's got 4 damage faces, kind of. 1, 2 ranged, 1, 3 for 1 ranged, 1 modified ranged, and then a special that deals 1 to each of an opponent's characters. So it could be 4 damage when you're playing against 4 characters, or 1 if there's only 1 left alive. He's gotten a lot of flack online because people have compared him to Poe. It makes sense. They both have the same character cost, and they're both the legendary red hero from the 2 sets we've seen so far. Poe has a little bit more health, and he has a very different special. His special lets you discard a card from your hand to resolve one of its die faces. So a lot of people have said, well, Baze is just a Poe that doesn't do as much, but that AoE damage you can get out of Baze is really useful. And also, he does have some other advantages, right? He's a little bit more damage focused. Poe has this 1 disrupt face, whereas Baze has this +2 modified ranged face. He's a little bit better at taking the battlefield, so there are some reasons you might take Baze over taking Poe. But definitely the cards are very similar. It would have been nice to see something that differentiated them a little bit more. So let's look through some decks using Baze. This first deck has a bunch of different options, so one thing you'll notice is Baze comes in at 14 for his regular face, which means you can fit 2 8-cost characters with him, which is really an advantage for both sides at this point, hero and villain. So here we're running Baze with an SoR card, Maz, and then another copy of Hired Gun as well. So we're coming in at 28 points of health, which is a lot of health. We're really focused on range damage. You'll probably get to claim quite a bit, even though you have 3 characters, because Maz's ability will accelerate your actions. So it seems like could be a pretty fun combo. The one disadvantage it has is a lot of the damage phases you see there have a resource cost. Hopefully Maz can mitigate that a little bit. When you roll her in, you can resolve 2 of your dice, so you can resolve a resource and deal damage with that resource right away. Another deck, you're going to see a lot of red-yellow. I think red-yellow, especially for heroes, has a lot of synergy right now. You get access to disarm and electroshock, and also all the red weapons and yellow weapons we've seen in the first 2 sets for ranged characters. So this is using a regular version of Baze and an elite version of Finn. People haven't talked about Finn a lot since SoR came out. I remember when Awakening started, people clamored on and on about Finn, about how his value was going to increase, and it has increased with this set. You now get 2 more weapons you can bring along with Finn's ability. But at the same time, not quite the level we'd like him to be super powerful for his cost. I do think this could be a pretty fun combination. You're sitting only at 21 points of health, so you're going to have to kill things fast. But luckily, you've got a lot of damage faces on your dice and access to a lot of weapons. So I think this could be pretty cool, and it could be an interesting use for Finn. I also have in here, it's Elite Baze, Elite Rey. Again, you're only at 21 points of health. This is very similar probably to the eHan deck. You've got a little bit less ambush because you're not going to have all those juicy yellow cards and that yellow support that gives everyone ambush. But you can still accelerate your actions pretty quickly with Rey. Get holdout blasters onto her, later move them to Baze, or use that one with the Force to focus everything. It could be a pretty interesting combination. I definitely think it's worth trying out. We've seen Poe Rey is really powerful. You can discard those blue supports just like you can red and yellow ones. And I think there's no difference here. You could definitely see a really fun Rey Baze deck. The next character is Mon Mothma. She is a 9 cost, or 9 health, 11 cost, or 14 for her elite version hero character. She doesn't do a lot of damage, obviously, but she can set you up to. She's got a 1 focus and a 2 focus, a shield and 2 resource sides. So she's very similar to Ackbar, but a little bit less discard and no damage, but a lot of focus. Her ability is after you play an event, you may reroll a die of the same color as that event. So it could be rerolling one of your dice or rerolling one of your opponent's. So that's a pretty powerful ability. So let's look through some decks that she might fit into. I think one fun deck would be to run Mon Mothma and Chewbacca. Again, we're sitting at 21 points of health. That seems like a common point total here that we're seeing, and that's kind of on the low end for health. But at the same time, we've seen it can be really potent in decks. I think Chewie and Mon could be pretty fun if you wanted to run an SoR only deck or focus on SoR characters. She can really set up Chewbacca to do a bunch of damage with his special, or do a bunch of damage with his damage phases. So I think it could be pretty interesting. Chewie is a pretty strong character, so he's probably going to get targeted, which will leave Mon Mothma around for a while longer. You're probably going to get all the sides that you want on your dice, right? Especially with Mon Mothma's reroll and her focus sides. So you have a pretty good chance of dealing damage each turn, and hopefully a lot of damage using Chewie and some upgrades. I also put her into another deck that's kind of damage focused. I've played a lot of that Elite Ackbar Padawan deck, and that focuses a lot more on close quarters assault, milling, and attacking your opponent's hand. I think this version of the deck would probably focus a lot more on dealing optimal damage with your Padawans and all those nice melee upgrades we get from the blue faction. You can get a lightsaber on that Padawan the first turn, roll all your Padawans in, roll Mon Mothma. If you get a 2 focus, you could set yourself up to do a pretty juicy amount of damage really quickly. So I think this could be a pretty fun operation. You're coming in a little bit higher at health. I think you're at 23, so it's not as low as 21, but still those Padawans at 7 are going to die pretty fast without some kind of protection. The next card, or next hero, is a Rebel Commando. He's a 10 health, 10 character cost, generic character. He's got a 1 ranged, a 2 ranged, a discard, a resource, and then a special that costs a resource that says remove an opponent's die. So he's kind of a control-y character. Makes sense, he's got some discard, but he's also got some ranged damage options. You guys have seen how much I love characters that have this kind of mixed aggro control aspect in the Night Sisters, and I think this guy is no different. He kind of doesn't have the problem the Death Troopers had from the villain side, where they didn't have a resource, so it's going to be difficult to get upgrades on them if you go against a Disrupt deck. If you run the obvious deck, which would be 3 of these Rebel Commandos, you'll still be generating resources from your characters and hopefully building up to better upgrades. And this still offers a lot of control. You're up at 30 points of health. That's one of the highest totals you can get to. So even though it seems pretty obvious, it could be a pretty fun build. I mean, you could throw another 10-point character in there. You could throw Ackbar or something else in. But 3 Rebel Commandos just on their own seems like they could be pretty fun. So then I kind of thought about, well, what's another deck we could do where we swap somebody in that's worth 10 points? And I put Padme in there. So Padme is pretty advantageous in this deck. You're still sitting at 30 points of health. You've got discard on all your characters, so you can run this nice mill sub-theme, or at least hand control sub-theme. She's got that juicy 2 focus size, so you can set your commandos up to do whatever you need, whether it be removing your opponent's dice or dealing damage, etc. And you've got a lot of specials, so you have a good opportunity to chain a bunch of actions together, or to use Emperor's Throne Room if you're facing a Poe deck that wins the roll, things like that. So I think the Rebel Commandos are actually a really powerful character that we're going to see come out of SOR. The last version I had is called Staying Alive. I think this is a pretty fun deck. You're coming in at 31 points of health, so you thought 30 was high, now you got 31. You're really focused on range damage. I mean, each of these guys is going to have 1 dice, so I see 6 range sides and 1 melee side. You've got a lot of control. You have a pretty cool combo with your specials here. You could use Chewie to turn a Vader die to a 3 damage, and then you can immediately use the Rebel Commando in the same action to remove it. So you can set up damage and remove it before your opponent even gets to use it, or you can turn them to modifiers, which is the ideal situation with Chewie. So it seems like it could be really fun. You could replace the higher gun with a different 8-cost character if you wanted to have the Rebel Trooper for the Protect and things like that, or for Guardian. But I think this combination could be really neat. Alright, last character is Snap Wexley. Snap is an interesting character. He's 8 cost, or 8 health, 9 cost for his regular, 12 for his elite. We've seen how potent those costs are for Rey. She gets put into a lot of decks because she's so cheap, so we can expect the same with Snap, I think. And he's really going to shake up the metagame. He really forces Disrupt, Ramp, and I would even say Discard to be valuable sides on dice for both sides of the field. He's got a 1 range side, not really interested in that. He's got a 1 and a 2 Disrupt, so he's pretty good at disrupting your opponent. He's got a 1 discard and a 1 resource, but honestly, you're not going to be using his dies a ton until it's absolutely necessary. So his ability says, while there is at least 1 die in your pool, your opponent must spend 1 resource to claim the battlefield. So this is 1 less resource your opponent's spending, or they're letting you go first every round by not having enough resources to do this with. So this gives you the advantage of being able to have big, wide teams that take a lot of actions to get through, and still not having to go second every round and suffer the wrath of some eHan deck that takes 100 actions before you get to go. So I think this character is actually really powerful. It's probably good that he's only at 8 health, otherwise he'd be a little too used. We'll look at some decks with him. So I think, again, I'm trying to find a way to make Finn work right now, and this is probably not the deck, but I still want to try it because I think it'll be fun. If you do Finn and Snap, you get all those red villain weapons to throw on Snap and Finn to get your ranged synergy going. Your opponent's not going to be claiming a ton, hopefully, because of Snap, so you'll still get to go early a lot. And you've got that red-yellow synergy that I was talking about. Some of the best removal we can get, I feel, on the hero side between defensive position and dug in and things like that. The best removal we can get, like defensive position or electroshock you have, but you also have all these cards that can require the battlefield, like dug in, that hopefully Snap will be able to guarantee you to keep you alive with Finn. Another combination could be just like eHan, but now we're doing Snap Han, so you're focusing less on the ambush and always getting all your actions out first, and more on I get to go first, so Han's going to shoot first because Snap's going to let me claim the battlefield every round. I think this could be really fun. You've got Disrupt on both your characters, so hopefully you can keep them depleted of resources, and you'll have access to Fast Hands now that we're in SoR, so Fast Hands on Han seems like it could be really cool and thematic. Again, we're sitting only at 18 points of health, but we've got, the ability to use dug in and defensive position, and we've also got Han's every time I play an ambush weapon, get a shield ability, so hopefully between that and Second Chance we can keep ourselves around for a while. Alright, last version is a Snap Maz Chewbacca deck, or eSnap Maz Chewbacca deck. Yeah, that comes in at 30 points. So I think this could be pretty fun. We're range focused again. You have 2 snap dice, so they can't just remove the snap dice and then claim. And you're sitting at 28 points of health, so unlike those last two where we were at 18, you're not really in danger of losing super quickly. And I think you still have some pretty powerful combos here. Maz is going to mean you're going to be claiming early and you're going to be denying your opponent through Snap, so you should almost always be going first. You can disrupt them with Snap and then have Chewie turn their damage to sides that cost resources, that way they can't use them. Seems like it could be a pretty fun combo using all characters from the new set. Alright, on to the supports and upgrades. The first support is a unique support, C-3PO. He costs 1, has 4 sides. We're not even going to talk about him because you're probably not going to use him as that. And 2 blanks. The big thing he has here is action. Remove this die to resolve one of your dice as if it were showing a different symbol. It keeps its original value. So, let's say you're playing with Luke and Ackbar and you roll a 3 damage, but you're really not looking to deal damage at the time. You just need to deplete their hand because you know they've got that holocron back in their hand or something. Well, you can just resolve that 3 damage as a 3 random discard. Or say you roll, Ackbar's 2 focus and you just need that 2 damage to push through. Well, now you can turn that 2 focus into a 2 damage, so you can pretty much resolve anything as whatever you want as long as 3PO's out there. One cool card that's going to come with this and come back with this, I think, is there's an event from Awakenings in Red Hero that says Ready or Exhaust to support. So you can use 3PO's action on something to get whatever die face you want. Then ready him using that ability, roll him in, and do it again on another high value die and really pump through. I think he's going to be pretty popular in Red Hero decks, and there might even be decks that decide to splash red because of C-3PO. I think he's that powerful. Alright, U-Wing is the other legendary Red Hero card. It's got 2 damage faces, a 2 focus, a 2 resource, and then 2 specials. They're big on this, the specials giving you an option in this set, it seems. So you can either deal 2 damage to each of an opponent's characters, so it's like double Baze's ability, or you can give each of your characters 2 shields. Both of those are pretty amazing. I mean, imagine if you had 3 characters out there, you could get 6 shields, or if your opponent had 4 stormtroopers, you could deal 8 damage with this. I mean, it's equivalent to a thermal detonator, but you're not throwing it away. It costs a little bit more, right? There's not really a die face on this card that you wouldn't want, just like the Falcon. It's a really good card. The problem is it costs 5. So you're going to have to find a way to get the resources to get it out there without telegraphing it, and hope they haven't saved up all their deflects because they're assuming that you're playing it. It is a really powerful card. I think it'll see play definitely in Poe decks, hopefully in some decks using the quad jumper and things like that, but just in general, I think it's a pretty good quality card for now. Alright, the A180 Blaster. This card's gotten a lot of flack too, being compared to the other 3-cost gun from Awakenings. I think it's a little better than people are giving it credit for. Yeah, it doesn't have a 3 damage face, it has a 2 damage, a +2, a disrupt, but then it's got these 2 special faces. And adaptability is what these specials are going to give you. So you can deal 1 damage to a character and give the attached character a shield. So if you're really searching for survivability in a deck, well, you could get that one gun that deals 2 unblockable damage, or you could deal a damage and gain a shield. Sometimes you'd rather do that, especially if somebody has 1 point of health left, or if you just need to get rid of a shield so you can hunker down, or get rid of their hunker down the next turn. You also have deal 1 damage to each of an opponent's characters, so it's like activating Baze's ability. So that could be, like I said, up to 4 or as little as 1. If it's going to be 1, you'd probably use the first one instead. And then it has deal 2 unblockable damage to a character, so it's still got that same ability as the other gun. 4 of its faces deal damage. It seems like it'd be pretty powerful to me. I've played it in a couple decks. It's really fun to play around, especially in decks that focus on like resolving a ton of specials. But yeah, I think it's definitely a viable option. I'm glad that it's red hero and not red neutral. I feel like red heroes needed a few more unique guns for themselves, and they finally got one, I think. Alright, and our final card is an ability upgrade, so something that Grievous won't be stealing from us finally. And it is Overkill. It costs 2, it's got 2 blanks, and then it's all modified sides, so +1, +2, +3, +3. I don't think this card is Overkill. I think it's a pretty good card. I've seen it used in quite a few decks on Tabletop Simulator, and it always comes up golden. I know a lot of people run Jetpack just for that single +3 side, so having 2 on a dice, that's a 1 in 3 chance of getting a +3. If you're running this with a Leia, or with a bunch of Rebel Troopers, or with our Rebel Commandos, it seems like it could be a really powerful card. The big problem you're going to have with it is you will be rolling blanks a lot, so your deck's going to be a little more susceptible to power, or what's it called, Feel Your Anger. And also, if you have this and you only have 1 character left, your opponent is just going to focus all their control on your unmodified range damage, because once you're down to just this die, it can't do anything on its own for the most part. So it is a really powerful upgrade. I think it'll see a lot of play, especially since it costs 2. You can just play it as your action for the turn and then roll in. And I think as we get more and more ranged characters, the power of this card will only grow and grow. So with that, we've gone through the red hero, legendary, and rare cards. Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in the next couple of days, and we'll get through the blue heroes, the yellow heroes, and then start looking at battlefields, events, and commons and uncommons. Alright, thanks guys.